Hi, my name is Ellen Sternau. I am a pastry chef instructor at Austin Community College, and today I'm going to teach you how to make banana bread. First, we're going to go over the ingredients that we're going to use for our banana bread today. For our dry ingredients, we have our all-purpose flour, iodized salt, and we have our baking soda. And then over here, we have our bananas, which are overripe. It is fine if you have a few brown spots, which I do on these. The browner the better, you'll get more sweetness. We have our granulated sugar, eggs, melted butter, pure vanilla extract. And then back here we have our walnuts, which are optional. First step is you want to preheat your oven. I have our oven set at 325 degrees over here. If you have a home conventional oven, you want it at 350. If you do have a convection setting, you want it on convection bake at 325 degrees. I'm going to start with our dry ingredients, and we're going to sift all of them together in a bowl to make sure they're evenly mixed and that we have no lumps. So I'm going to take my all-purpose flour, my salt, and my baking soda, and I'm just going to sift it into a bowl. And now I'm going to move into our wet ingredients. I'm going to start with my bananas. You can pre-mash them if you'd like, but I like using granulated sugar, which some people will put with the dry ingredients, and I do on certain instances. But for this one, it's going to help me mash my bananas because it'll act almost like a sandpaper. So I'm going to put my sugar on top of my bananas, and I'm going to take my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to smash them a little. I like some chunks of banana in my banana bread, which is why I don't do a full-on mash. So once our bananas are mashed, again, I like to keep some chunky pieces. If you don't want any chunks of bananas, you could completely puree it. I'm just going to add our other wet ingredients. So here I have my eggs, my melted butter, and my pure vanilla extract. And we're just going to stir that up, breaking up my eggs. And now all we're going to do is take the wet ingredients, pour it directly into the dry ingredients all at once, and we're going to combine it just until you see no more flour. It's really important not to overmix this method. At this point in mixing, if you're choosing to add walnuts, now is the time to do so when you see just a little bit more flour left. If not, you just continue mixing until all of your flour is mixed in. And that is the muffin method. At this point, we are now going to fill our loaf pan, which I've just lightly sprayed with some nonstick spray. And then I have our muffin tins here with our paper liners. You want to fill each pan about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way full. And then I have my portion scoop. I'm going to pull some up and pop it right into the center of the cup also. At this point, your breads are ready to go into the oven if you like. Otherwise, you can put some toppings on them. On the banana bread, I'm going to put a little bit of the turbinado sugar, otherwise known as sugar in the raw. And on our muffins, I'm going to put a simple crumb topping, which is just butter, granulated sugar, and all-purpose flour. It's best for baking if you can bake them in the middle rack in the middle of the oven. There are a few ways that you can tell if your banana bread is ready before you pull it out of the oven. One is spring back. You just gently push into the top of your bread, and if it springs back without leaving an indent, that's one indication. You can see it's pulling away from the sides of your pan. Another indication. You can use a toothpick, insert it into the center. If it comes out clean or with just a few crumbs on it, it's done. When your bread comes out of the oven, you're going to want to let it cool in the pan for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then if you have one, you're going to unmold it onto a cooling rack and let it completely cool so that all of your flavors are able to develop properly. Once your bread is completely cool, we're going to slice it. It's best to use a serrated knife with a sawing motion so that we get nice, clean, even cuts. Thank you for watching, and I hope your bread turns out delicious. Please check out Austin Community College's culinary program by visiting austincc.edu/culinary.